It's kind of a slow news week. I've got a few Cardinals updates for you, and then Charlotte, my co-host, will share some of her memories of Cardinals legend Pat Tillman. Stay tuned.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Kelly Singh.
Murray heaves it downfield. It's caught. It is caught. DeAndre Hopkins. Miraculous. It's Murray magic.
The sickest Arizona Cardinals podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to the sickest Arizona Cardinals podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Singh, along with my co-host, Charlotte Shaff. Charlotte, how has your week been?
My week has been very busy as always, not as crazy as last week, so I'm a little thankful for that. But I am really excited because tomorrow's Friday, and this weekend my boys are running in the Phoenix Invitational, which is in the East Valley. They run club track, and so I'm super excited to cheer them on and see them run against some really strong competition.
That's really exciting. I was muted there for a second because dogs. Dogs happen around here. I love watching you talk about your kids being at their meets. You're such involved parents. I love it so much. It makes me miss the days when my kids were at home, but they're gone.
I know. People tell me I'm going to miss this, and I know I'll miss it because I get teary-eyed when I see posts about my kids when they were toddlers and when they were in elementary school. And now my oldest is going off to high school. So I love being a track mom. I really love it. I like being a football mom, but track mom is really like my thing because I just love track.
Well, keep sharing because I love following along.
Hey,
It
I
gives
will.
me
Don't worry. I'm that mom.
gives me the feels, lets me live vicariously. I also saw you tweeting about the eclipse, some fun eclipse memes. The eclipse was on Monday. Did you get a chance to go outside and see it?
I am not into the hype of the eclipse. I'm sorry, people. I get it that it's cool and it's a once every who knows how long type of situation. But for me, I had a lot of work to do and I didn't have time to just sit outside and keep glancing up to see when it's happening. I figured that my photos and video would never do it justice, so I'm going to let the professionals do it. So I stayed inside and I had a lot of fun just looking at the different memes. My personal favorite, of course, is the one where it was the Michigan M emblem covering up the Ohio State suck eyes in the sky. That was my favorite eclipse meme.
I'll be sure to edit that in for our viewers.
You gotta.
You have to. But I was in California working. It was only a partial eclipse. I'm sure it was the same here. And we had glasses. So everybody was like taking turns looking. And then I made one of those pinhole viewers where you poke a
Oh.
hole in paper and it made like this shadow. And yeah, it was kind of my joke that, this is how I've captured the eclipse. I don't know how else to do it.
I know. I had a friend that used one of those colanders, like the things that you put the spaghetti in. I don't even know if that's the right word.
hmm
And another one was talking about using a Ritz cracker so you could look through the little peepholes. I was like, I don't have time for this.
That's really funny. I did see a colander one and it looked like a bunch of tiny little eclipses all
Yeah.
over. Yeah, that's fun. I don't know, it's fun, but yeah, if it was one where we were in the path of the total eclipse, that would be different, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I only have a couple of Cardinals updates this week. I've got the new draft cap on.
Love it.
Pretty
Um,
snazzy.
did you see the red one? Was it available when you went to buy it or just that one?
Yeah, the red one was available, but I thought there's not many opportunities to get the anything like in grayscale, really. So I wanted that one.
Yeah, very true. It's very cute. It looks cute on you. I was wondering how it looked like on girls because I've only seen guys posting about it, and some of the draft hats are definitely made for men in their heads, but that one looks
Yeah.
super cute on you.
I just made sure, because I did notice in the bill that there are like the flat bill ones, and I don't think
Mhm.
I look good in those at all. So I made sure to get the one that's the curved bill at least.
Is it still cool to do it where they used to back in the day where you wrap the rim around like a baseball so you can have it all like cupped?
Nice and tight.
Remember that?
Yes, with rubber bands.
Yes, I used to do that all the time. So I'm
Those
kind of like in the
are,
road, I'm in the middle of the road type of person. I
that's
don't need
fine.
it flat build. I've got some flat build, but I don't need it too. I just need it just, yeah.
I think that's where I'm at too. I gave it like a little extra bend. I think that's the 90s in me, but
Yeah,
not so much.
right.
It's fine. But the Cardinals have had a host of wide receivers coming to visit. And wide receiver, as we've had the discussion, is really where we have the biggest gaping hole in our starting lineup. And there's been a bunch of them. Xavier Worthy, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Robo Dunze, Brendan Rice, Jacob Cowling, and Jalen McMillan. And those are all pretty much the tops. Harrison Jr., Neighbors, and Odunze are the top three. If we were to
Mhm.
trade out, we would not probably get one of those three. So it's
Right.
interesting they're visiting with some of these other wide receivers too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, as I saw in one of the blogs recently, I mean, we've got the great three picks of 4, 27, and 35. And we should be picking at least one or two wide receivers, in my opinion, with those picks. I mean, we've got I mean, this year's wide receivers in general are just an amazing group of guys, and teams are going to be very lucky to have them. We just got to make sure it's the right fit for our team. But I mean, we got to go for those wide receivers. That's some amazing talent coming out of our colleges right now.
For sure. Yeah. And then we're still, though, seeing these trade back rumors. I have one bookmark from yesterday that we've been talking about for weeks with the
Hmm.
Minnesota Vikings and some sort of blockbuster QB package, which obviously would involve Kyler Murray. You stumbled on one just like an hour ago about the Commanders.
I did. I just tweeted about it too. SB Nation posted about how they say Kyler Murray to the Commanders is an NFL draft trade that makes too much sense for everyone. And
Too
they're
much.
claiming that this makes so much sense because the reason why Kyler was drafted a few years ago was under a different coach and a different type of team. And now the Commanders have a system and a setup where Kyler would probably succeed better than he would here under Gannon. I personally, while I know that we have a lot of challenges with Kyler sometimes, I don't think that that is a good idea. We're starting to build that culture as we've talked about before. We need to just keep Kyler here and let's build around him with some amazing draft picks.
I agree. I agree. They really were gaining momentum at the end of last season and building some of the chemistry needed. So it would really be weird to move away from Murray. I was scanning this article to see if it who it was written by. It was not written by friend of the pod, Donnie Druin, but it was written by James Dater, perhaps. Sorry if I
Dater, I think.
ruined
Yeah.
that, James. But so the Cardinals in this scenario would receive the number two overall pick, and the Commanders would receive Kyler and our 27th pick. So we would have the second and the fourth still. That's kind of
Mhm.
interesting, to be
That
honest.
is interesting, I will admit. I just feel like gambling like that just doesn't really make sense right now.
I agree. We really, really have a good thing going. Let's not
Hmm.
rock the ship.
Hmm. Hmm.
Goodness. Well, outside of the visiting prospects, I read some feel good news. DJ Dallas and Trey McBride, they've been overseas visiting military bases as part of the NFL USO program. And I guess oh, knocking over my mic. I guess I didn't even realize that the USO program was still a thing. I know that sounds weird to say, but I always envision like 1940s and 50s starlets visiting and building up
Right.
morale. But now they're
Mhm.
bringing players over. Have you seen that? Am I just like weird?
No, I think that I've seen it, but I don't think that it's something that's been uh, really big and widespread. So, or maybe we're just not the target audience for that, and that's why
True.
we haven't seen it. I always like to say that sometimes you see the things that you want to see because that's something you're more interested in. Honestly, I don't follow a lot of the PT or the military kind of stuff, so I guess maybe that's why I don't.
That's such a great point. And because we follow Cardinal stuff, that came across my timeline, and I thought,
Mhm.
wow, that's really neat. They've been to 6 bases so far in Poland,
Mhm.
and they're just there spreading good cheer.
There
But,
you go.
what better way to segue from two of our Cardinals bringing good cheer to military bases, doing their part, than to segue into Pat Tillman. We,
Yay.
yeah, we promised last week that we would have you share some of your stories of Pat Tillman as we head into Pat's run in memoriam.
Right. Well, first of all, just to segue into the military thing
Mhm.
too. In the words, and there's a op-ed that his widow, Marie, wrote for him after, I want to say it was around like 2020 or so. Don't project things onto Pat Tillman because he was in the military and
Mm.
how you feel about certain situations that are happening in the US. Because if you knew Pat, you would know that he was not the type who would, um, let's just say he was a very open-minded, very philosophical type of human being. And that's what made him so different. And it made him so inspiring to so many people because he really looked at everything from the big picture. Um,
Mhm.
and that's one of the things that I really admired about him because I was actually around during that time of when 9/11 happened, and we came to go do interviews with him when I worked at 15. So basically, my background is I used to work in TV and I used to be a promotion producer. And when I worked at Channel 15, that was when we had the Monday Night Football type of games. And we did this segment that was called Tell Me Tillman. And the premise behind it was we would watch the game on Sunday, and then we would go out and interview Pat Tillman after he got done with his morning workout or whatever at the facilities in Tempe. And we would draw a question from a viewer and ask him about whatever happened at that game. And Pat would answer it on camera, and then he would award them an autographed Tillman jersey.
Oh, wow.
So it was called Tell Me Tillman, and it was just kind of fun and cute and everything like that. And Pat was so humble and so cool. Like there was a game where he didn't really play. I don't know if he played at all. And we asked him questions, and he said, "Guys, I don't even feel right talking about this game when I wasn't even on the field." We're like, but we still want to hear, what you have to say. And so he was that type of person. And the two other qualities that I just loved about him was he had a potty mouth. Like I have a potty mouth, his potty mouth was unbelievable. And it made me smile. Because he was such a like just nice, good, cool dude and everything. And that mouth was just like constant. It was hilarious. But when you're around professional athletes and even celebrities and such like that, sometimes you can see the types that are more of a, I'm better than you type of people.
Mhm.
And he's not like that. When we were done with our shoots, he always helped pick up the photography equipment, the video, that kind of stuff, and help walk it to the news van with us after every practice. Like he wanted to be a part of it. It wasn't just we show up, we shoot something with Pat, and then he's like, see ya. He was somebody who was very just gracious and just a really good dude. And when 9/11 happened, I mean, this is a while ago, but I
Mhm.
remember him feeling very upset and passionate about the news and feeling like he needed to do something. And this was way before he decided to leave the NFL, but you could get the feeling from him that he really was impacted by what happened and how he wanted to make a change, and that football is not as important as, our country.
Right.
So I was very, I feel like I definitely have the best memories of him, and I'm so happy for knowing him. My biggest regret is I never asked him for a photograph because working in TV, I didn't like to ask on-air people to do photos with me. And now it feels like everybody does that because social media. But that's my biggest regret is I didn't get a photo with him. I loved him.
You just don't imagine that you were going to lose such a bright light in the way
Hmm.
that we did. You mentioned his wife, Marie. They were only married 2 years, I was looking. But she has carried on his memory as well locally, being really involved in various things throughout our community. Have you had any interactions with her?
Well, actually, ironically, after he passed away, there was the Pat Tillman Foundation that was established. And initially, the Pat Tillman Foundation, which was established with Marie and Pat's good friend Alex, was a situation with ASU with their business school, and they had scholarships that went out to incoming freshmen who wanted to make a difference in the world, pretty much, and they were called Tillman Scholars. And various people in the community were recruited to be mentors for these students. And I was honored to be a part of that. And some of my good friends, Nancy Dudenhafer, Laura Capello, we all were able to be mentors to some of these students, and we were able to guide them as they worked on a year-long project to help do something in the community to make a difference. These kids were amazing. I was impressed. I was like, wow, these freshmen are doing things that are bigger and better than some of the adults I know. And after a while, the Tillman Foundation, they started the Pats Run, that kind of thing. And then they slowly changed to a military emphasis, which is amazing. They give scholarships to military students. But when I started with it, it was actually a business and make a difference type of situation with scholars at ASU.
Yeah, it's really such an amazing movement. This is the 20th annual Pats Run, and it happens this Saturday. You can still register, which was surprising to me because it's usually sold out. So if you've been on the fence about registering, go ahead and still register, and run that 4.2, which is in honor of number 42, Pat Tillman. So
Yeah.
special. Do you have any other story? Like, does anything else stick out about him that you think would be fun to share?
He just was that type of presence when you're around someone and you know that they're special. And oh, you know what? If I'm not mistaken, something else that I thought was very endearing about when we were leaving the Tempe facilities and all the athletes are going to their cars, they've all got these fancy sports cars and SUVs and all that stuff. If I'm not mistaken, he drove an old Volvo station wagon. I think that's what it was. I got it I need someone to help me confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's what he drove. And that was just him. He did not need a fancy, flashy car. He drove an old, I want to say, Volvo station wagon. Somebody's got to help me figure that out if that was real or not. That was my memory. That was more than
It's
20 years ago.
it sounds very on brand for
Yeah.
sure. Definitely gone too soon. Um, and I love that we're able to still reminisce and talk about his legacy. He's gonna forever be a staple of Arizona lore for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. He was the real deal. He
The
really.
real deal. You know, I wonder if I could work this out. Another big Pat fan is my friend, NFL Network's Adam Rank. He has a Pat Tillman tweet pinned on his profile, actually. So maybe I'll just, while we're talking about Pat. It's that time of year. I'll see what he's up to. Maybe he can give us a little video story or something we can play
Oh, I
next
love
week.
that.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
that's a good idea. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
it just
It never
struck me.
hurts.
Part of the Sick Podcast Network, the Bears Sick Podcast with Adam Rank. So we're family. Let's see if we can make it happen.
I love it. Let's see.
Well, it's been another great week. I know we like to keep it tight around here. You don't have much
Mhm.
time. We want to give you the news and the stories in the short amount of time as we can without, I don't know, without skipping the fun stuff. I still think we're fun.
Right, absolutely. You need a mix. We all need a little balance in our lives.
Take a break, hang out with us every week. Me at Kelly in Phoenix, Charlotte at Char Shaff, and the show. We're still growing the following. It's at Sick Pod Kelly, but you guys tend to just reach out to us anyway. So keep doing that. Watch on YouTube, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, like, share, subscribe, all the things.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
No, keep sharing, peeps, and please comment and tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, we want to hear. So we'll see you next week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Kelly Singh on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.